And I'm going to talk today about the need for a DBA in the world of managed database services. And in particular, I want to talk about Amazon RDS, which, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a partly managed SQL service. Let's see if this comes back. Provided by Amazon. It's pretty cool in that it does a lot of the stuff that you might expect a DBA to do. It'll do backups for you. It provides a facility for fault tolerance so that you can scale things up and scale things down pretty easily. Amazon manages replication for you for a couple databases, which is pretty cool because you can launch replicas with a click of a button. And they have some good enough monitoring on things with CloudWatch on stuff like replica lag, which we'll talk a little bit about here in a minute. It's a pretty neat service, but RDS is pretty expensive. In any one of our Amazon accounts, it's typically the most expensive thing that we have in there. There are also some hard limits on RDS. You can only grow up to a 6 terabyte instance, which for some of our use cases is a problem. Sometimes the replication magic is real slow. You click a button, it could take hours to do something. They keep some control from you on other things as well. And this last point is what I want to dive into in the rest of this talk, which is what if something goes wrong with one of your RDS instances? Well, if something goes wrong, in my mind, a DBA's experience is still invaluable because there's only so much ability Amazon gives you to mess with your RDS instances. You can't log on to them directly. You can query things about them, but you don't even have a real root user. So I want to tell a couple stories to illustrate that. The first of which is with a database in a project at Red Ventures called Tagular. This started very small, holding some analytic event stream data, and it grew to very large. It was not a good fit for this. But we had some problems with the replicas of this database. It would get behind a lot. It got many hours behind, and then as the graph on the bottom shows, it would suddenly plummet to not being behind overnight. We dealt with this again and again. As this is an email that I wrote at some point to the team that was on at the time that it's 15 minutes behind mysteriously, not changing write workload. What the hell's going on here? So we tried a bunch of stuff. We upgraded instances. We tweaked MySQL settings after doing research. And eventually we filed some support tickets with Amazon because we had no clue why it was doing this. And we got a variety of responses from them, including, oh, it looks fine now. Hey, try setting these options that you found after 60 seconds of Googling. Hey, you're not using EBS optimized instances. Disable logging. Just delete the replica and make a new one, which at 6 terabytes can take hours for it to catch back up. So they're not being super helpful here. And the point to this is that if we had a DBA or someone with that experience with MySQL in particular, we could have gotten to some of these solutions a lot more quickly. I also want to talk about this project MyMove, which is part of a partnership with the Postal Service that we have at Red Ventures. I was involved on this as an application developer and operations. We had to pick a database for this project in the 3 months that we had to build this. And we have a lot of experience with MySQL. We know that some of the data for this application fit pretty well with JSON. MySQL 5.7 has a data type for that. RDS supports it. We needed to read replica for reporting queries. Great. Sounds fantastic, right? Well, as it turns out, we ran into a problem with that, which was a few days after we launched and we had people running queries on the replicas, they ran out of storage space overnight, inexplicably. We weren't writing hardly anything to it. So if we compare the size of the data that was in these databases at the time, the primary has almost nothing, not even that much actual data, and we have one replica that's out of space, and then one replica that hardly has anything, but we don't really run queries on. It's kind of the backup for this. We started to do research and dug into some different things and found that this file in MySQL 5.7 is taking up almost all the space that we've provisioned for this instances. So what the hell's going on here? How can we get rid of this file? Well, at this point, we again decided to contact Amazon support, who confirmed what Google searching found. This file holds data for temporary tables and other stuff like that. You can't change anything about it with RDS, and the solution is pretty much reboot your instances or maybe downgrade. For us, downgrade was very painful because you can't go from 5.7 to 5.6 with MySQL and Amazon because of reasons. So we have a Lambda that runs every night that restarts these replica instances. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But again, this, in my mind, is where a DBA can help out. So I'm not trying to throw Amazon support under the bus. They did what they needed to in this instance. They're poorly equipped to troubleshoot issues of this nature because they require knowledge of your query workload, instance state. They really need to be able to log on and look at stuff. And I swear to God, don't tell me to change sync bin log again, because that's like the first thing that anything tells you to do with this problem. So the whole point here is having a DBA helps because they understand your environment and when to upgrade MySQL versions, more importantly. And that's all I got.